I've had two videos about multi-tenant truck terminals. One was an entire block on South Alameda Street in Los Angeles, and one was on Kentucky Avenue in Indianapolis. Today, I want us to visit Chicago, a city definitely a center of trucking history. In the 1940s, there were hundreds of companies in Chicago, many with their own terminals. No matter the size of theirs, one terminal stood out in size. A large facility with way more than 50 dock doors or more that was home at times to a dozen or more carriers of various sizes. The location in Chicago was 3333 South Iron Street. In 1940, the following trucking companies used the terminal for their operations in Chicago. I'm sure you'll recognize some of the names of the carriers. American Freight Lines, Atco Service Company, Blue Arrow Transport Lines, Carstensen Freight Lines, Century System, Denver Chicago Trucking Company, Exxon Motor Service, F&S Transit Company, Gordon's Transports, Claremont Transfer, Liberty Motor Freight Lines, Nebraska Transit Lines, Powell Brothers Truck Lines, Rockford Motor Service, Shippers Forwarding System, Stanley Southeastern Truck Service, Taylor Transfer, Wisconsin Fox Valley Transit, and Ewell Truck Lines. Yes, Denver Chicago Trucking Company was a tenant there. They were the nation's first coast-to-coast carrier, although not yet in 1940. Some other future fallen flags were on that list. F&S Transit, which got acquired by Navajo Freight Lines some years later, and Gordon's Transport was on that list of tenants as well. In 1941, some of the carriers left but were replaced by others. Central Motor Lines out of Charlotte, North Carolina moved in. Central was one of the longest-lasting tenants at that terminal. Motor Freight Corporation moved from elsewhere in Chicago in 1941. A year later, in 1942, Denver Chicago needed more space, so they found a new home somewhere else. All States Freight took their place for a few years, and later on was bought out by Pacific Intermountain Express to become a transcontinental carrier. By 1945, Best Motor Lines and Navajo Freight Lines were tenants, and by 1947, what would eventually be known as Illinois California Express called the terminal home. Fast forward to just a few years ago. The building is still there, but all the carriers have gone. Updated recently and ready for occupancy by trucking companies, the building is ready. These photos show what the building looks like now. Keep watching this channel. The next terminal to visit will be in New York City. You'll find a connection between the multi-tenant terminals in Chicago and New York in that video. In the near future, there will be another episode of trucking companies you've never heard of, plus photos of builders' transport trucks. Keep those comments, thumbs up, and subscribers coming for more from the Trucking History channel. I appreciate your support. See you next time.